In 1980, Stanley Kubrick released his follow-up to his worst-received movie, 1975's Barry Lyndon, 1980's The Shining, which is an adaptation of the Stephen King novel of the same name. For The Shining, Kubrick was the director, producer, and co-writer for the screenplay, with John Alcott handling the extensively gorgeous cinematography. The Shining follows a Jack Torrance, a writer played by Jack Nicholson, who accepts a position as an off-season caretaker at an isolated hotel in the Colorado Rockies with his wife, Wendy Torrance, played by Shelley Duvall, and his psychotic son, Danny Torrance, played by Danny Lloyd, who can see dead people.
I see dead people.
Apparently Jack Nicholson was a first choice of Stanley Kubrick's to play the lead role, however Stephen King disliked it because he felt that ever since The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, everyone would assume he's crazy to begin with, which to be fair, Jack Nicholson has always given off that sort of vibe. And just as a quick aside, Stephen King is highly critical of the film to begin with given how different it is to the novel, which to him is a very personal book that is close to his heart. In any case, The Shining is a landmark film in the horror genre, but is it good? And what are its particular strengths and weaknesses? Well, the strengths of The Shining are absolutely in the acting, score, and cinematography, and there's no greater proof in The Shining, and of Stanley Kubrick's insanity, regarding the quality of the acting and cinematography, than the fact that many scenes were reshot time and time again. In fact, one scene took 127 reshoots while another took 6 weeks of near 14-hour filming, which really makes sense given that principal photography took over a year to complete.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
Regarding the famous scene where Jack Torrance axes his way through a door to get to his wife, sticks his face in, and says here's Johnny, this wasn't originally planned but was a result of Jack Nicholson's frustration with Stanley Kubrick and his excessive and obsessive need to have every scene be perfect.
Here's Johnny.
Finally, the cinematography has a notable and distinct use of stark color contrast in addition to a use of asymmetry not unlike a Wes Anderson film, although The Shining did lean more towards having the characters in the center of the frame at nearly all times. The acting in The Shining is all around spectacular, and no one is particularly weak or annoying, barring Shelley Duvall, but she gets better by the end. The soundtrack is something that's hard to describe, but one definitive description is that it gets under your skin, particularly the scenes that utilize a high-pitched kind of sound for long or short periods of time. Finally, The Shining is a slow-burning kind of film that gradually builds up a creepy atmosphere of dread, much like William Friedkin's 1973 masterpiece The Exorcist. In fact, The Shining is so effective at this that a fucking title card that simply says, Tuesday, scared the shit out of me. If I had any complaints about The Shining, it would be that the nudity is completely gratuitous and surpasses most if not all of the movies in the Friday the 13th franchise by a landslide, but thankfully these scenes don't take up too much time of the near 2.5-hour run time, which can feel a little bloated. All in all, I'd have to say The Shining is an excellent horror film and an excellent movie, and deserves the praise of being a cinematic masterpiece, and with that I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. And that'll be the video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it please be sure to follow me on social media.